Hello, Gloria Brooks from Nature Glows eScience here. Back in 2010, I had lost my job at a private school. At first, for the first 10 or 15 minutes, I freaked out. I was driving home. I was living at Heathcote Intentional Community in Freeland, Maryland at the time. You can check them out on Google. They're awesome. And I was just freaking out. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh my gosh, I have to get a job. The principal had handed me a severance package and I was able to collect unemployment, which was such a gift. So it dawned on me, actually, on my way home from school, on my way back to Heathcote, that I could finally be free to do what I wanted in education, which in my heart of hearts, I really believed in a more liberated education atmosphere environment for kids. And I wasn't at the time at Heathcote. There was a woman who was running an open classroom program, and if you haven't heard of open classroom, Google that as well. um, it's a actually it was used in public schools back in the 70s. It was an experiment. It was supposed to be an experiment, and I'm pretty sure that there are still open classrooms that are going today, or probably like charter schools have them. I don't think they're called open classroom anymore, but basically what it is student-led education, student self-directed education, about the equivalent or similar to the equivalent of what we call as unschooling, or child self-directed education is synonymous with unschooling. Usually that term is used in like an in-person program with a group of kids and adults there as well. So I had the opportunity when I left that private school job after I was fired. I joined an apprenticeship with this woman, Dana, and she had this open classroom program with about 6 kids. They were community kids. They lived right on the land. It was within 112 acres of wooded land. And thus began my apprenticeship on learning how to oversee and become a guide, a facilitator, rather than a teacher standing up lecturing and using textbooks. So Dana didn't have any textbooks. The classroom, we had 2 rooms, and the rooms were just chock full of resources like games and toys and building materials, arts and crafts. There was like a paper station with looked kind of like what you would see at an Office Depot or whatever, filled with different kinds of paper like construction paper, cardboard and tagboard. Lots, just arts and crafts supplies, and lots of books. And so then that was during that 4.5 months of apprenticeship, I learned what it's like to allow students to take control of their education, and it was just so eye-opening. And in previous years, I had gone to visit like Sudbury schools, free schools, which are very similar to each other, where it's under the umbrella name of democratic education, where kids are given a voice and a choice as to what they want to learn. And the teachers aren't teachers. The adults, rather, are facilitators and guides, rather than lording over the kids, commanding them through textbooks and lecture style. So I absolutely just fell in love with open classroom. And I ended up taking over the program the following summer and starting Heathcote Art and Science Center. But let me just back up. I don't want to rush into that just yet. So what I learned to do was deschool, because we didn't really do anything that looked like traditional school. I guess maybe the closest thing was we would get together in a circle in the morning. We would sit down on like bean bags and cushions, and it was like just relaxing. Dana would bring her tea and I would bring tea. And she would guide us through a talking stick so she had this stick and it had feathers on it, looked Native American, and she would like pass it around, and whoever held the stick was the one that was talking and no one else was to talk. So, there was still order to it, but just very non-conventional. And after the morning circle, the kids would just break off and do their own thing. And if they wanted help, we were there to help them. If they wanted someone to play with, if they wanted to play with us adults, we were there to play with them. And we usually did play with the kids. And it was multi-age. The youngest was 4-year-old Noah, who later joined my program. Actually, all of the kids ended up joining my program the following year. And so there was my apprenticeship, also deschooling from traditional education. And I loved it. I just felt like the chains fell off. I just felt like this is real learning where the kids are guiding their education. Yes, it was just so awesome. Like, whoa, this is really happening and I'm part of it. And it just felt like I was part of an earth changer. Like, like we're just doing something cutting edge here. And meanwhile, this had been going on in public schools in the 70s, and somehow through bureaucracy, it got dropped. But there are charter schools out there that use open classroom programs. I'm sure of it. They probably just don't call themselves that. Democratic education. So, the morning open circle, the kids would discuss what they want to do for the day. What are their intentions? And then the learning center, was just stock full of resources for the kids to just enjoy and explore. And just, it was awesome. So I just spent the day with the kids, and it was a 6-hour-a-day program, 5 days a week. Or no, maybe it was Tuesday and Thursday. I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, or gosh, we're talking back in 2009 into 10, or 2010. I lost my job in January of 2010. So 4.5 months of deschooling was what I had the opportunity to experience. And then my previous background, I taught in private faith-based schools for 14 years previously. And, it was a stand-up lecture style, divided subjects, which I had really grown weary of, bored of, burnt out, like, whoa, I was just so ready for change. And change did find me. I sought it out too. So I have a new ebook coming out, and a new e-guide, as I'm calling it. It's called Math Learning Secrets. I will be releasing it very soon, aimfully by next week, perhaps sooner. Just putting the finishing touches on it, and I actually walk you through how to do child self-directed education in your homeschool. I share my story in it. I share my 5 secrets framework in it. It's beautifully illustrated, and just really excited to get that out to you homeschool parents very soon. So go ahead, jump on my wait list by grabbing my free unit study planner, which is one of the key pillars that I use in my Math Learning Secrets program. And the brilliant thing about unit studies is you pull in all the other subjects. So grab the unit study planner. That will put you on my wait list. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just smash that subscribe button, ding that little bell so you can hear when I put out my next video, and thumbs up, please. Yes, and yes. And also scroll on down there and throw in your comments. Share about your, thoughts about what I just expressed, the story that I shared about the open classroom program and how I deschooled with that. It really didn't look like, it looked more like Montessori, I guess would be the closest thing that I would compare it to, yet not nearly. It didn't have the structural games and toys, but we had games and toys and resources, the kind of resources that people typically on hand that kids love to interact with, like, paper and paints and building blocks and books like I mentioned earlier. All right, so grab my unit study planner, toss in your comments, your thoughts around child self-directed education. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.